I'm going to show you how to punctuate dialogue. Now, we've all written some kind of narrative in our English courses throughout school so far, but I'm going to fill you in on all the details just in case we either don't remember or maybe this hasn't been covered before. So the basics are that what characters say goes inside of quotation marks. Pretty simple. So I'm going to start from the beginning here. The first little rule is the punctuation at the end. This period here goes inside the quotation marks. So you want it to look like this, not that. That's bad. Hello. And now we know that the character said hello. So we don't know which character. So I'm going to say hello said Paul. But we need to change this now because there's a bigger sentence involved now. So hello said Paul, even though that's all Paul said, we use a comma here instead of the period, and now the period's moved to the end. But there's some exceptions, of course. If Paul said it really excitedly, then we can use an exclamation mark in there. Just never a period inside the quotation if you have your speech tag at the end as to who's saying it. If he's confused, and you can use a question mark in there, even though it seems like there's an end of a sentence here and an end of a sentence there. That's still allowed. But if it's not those two, then it's going to be a comma. No periods if there's a speech tag at the end. Now let's say Paul is talking to Janet, and Janet replies. I can't put Janet's words here. I can't go on here. Nope, I have to go down below. A new paragraph is started every time a new character is speaking. And in traditional narrative, you actually tab in once, but now you have a new person. So I'm tabbing in again, and then Janet will say, hi, comma. Then you can use different words other than said. Replied Janet. Pretty simple so far. Now, if Paul's going to say something, I need to tab in again. And we can do something more complex. We can actually have a little description about what he's doing or how he says it. We could say, Paul scratched his head and said, what's he going to say? Oh, you can use, because it's the beginning of this guy's sentence, which is within the sentence, you use a capital. Even though the beginning of the sentence is actually over here, but this is the beginning of your quoted sentence. Are you working on the dialogue assignment? It's like typing when someone's watching. It always goes bad. There we go. So now we have, we've said who's talking, and we've said a little bit about it, and that is separated by a comma here, and then the quote. And let's keep going. So Janet is talking, so I'm going to tab. Yes. She said as she clapped her hands with glee. And now I'm going to have her continue talking. I love writing narratives. So here it's one sentence. Yes, I love writing narratives, but I have split it and put in a little comment as to how she's saying and what she's doing in the middle of it. So if this weren't an exclamation mark, we would use a comma here, not a period. So yes, she said as she clapped her hands with glee, I love writing narratives. Now we've already determined who Janet is up here, so I can just say she. I don't have to keep saying her name. What we can also do is now we know it's only Paul and Janet talking. So when Paul talks, you can just say, really? We don't even need to say that Paul said that. It's obvious that she's talking to Paul. Now, I don't even really need to say that it's Janet. Yeah. Writing fiction is the best. No speech tag needed. We know it's Janet talking. Now if you do this too much, if it goes back and forth too much, then you could lose your reader and they won't know who's talking. So you just do a few and then you'll add in somewhere down below the Paul and Janet said thing again. Now if you're moving on to some other, maybe some internal thoughts, you want to, if it's not directly related to this sentence, so this is Janet talking. So if you're going to talk about Paul, then make that a new paragraph again. And then we could say more narrative style here, the narrator style. Paul couldn't believe, what he was hearing. He thought everyone didn't like this assignment. Now, if Paul is still talking, you can just continue it from here. Oh, wow. You really like writing, eh? And then you go back to Janet, and on you go. Oops. Blah, 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 blah. And it's best to keep up with the grammar as you're writing. Try to just make it natural. To go back and add all this is it's quite a hassle. So just follow the grammar rules for punctuation of narrative as you go, and everything will be fantastic. Let me know if you have any questions about how to do this. I think we've covered all the basics here. There's just the use when it's on its own with the speech tag, when the little inserted description is in the middle of someone's talking here. I mentioned how everything has to be indented when it's a new person talking, where to fit in narrative comments, and how also not using speech tags at all is covered here. Okay, so hope that makes sense, and all the best with the assignment.